Hi, welcome to the first episode of Brew Sessions. My name is Billy Cook. I am here with for Rock On Philly and sitting here with Grayling, aka Lexi Campione. She was selected as Philadelphia's Artist of the Month for the Deli Mag. Released her debut EP, Everything That Burns, April of this year, and has officially signed with NDE Records, and has just announced a tour with Julian Baker, one of the rising songwriters of the scene. So, how are you doing, Lex?
I am so good.
So yeah, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things that happened in the news recently. So, I mean, just to kind of get the ball rolling, you know, Beyonce just earned 4 Emmy nominations for her music video, well, this music experience for Lemonade. And now she's up against Taylor Swift, who did win an Emmy for her last music video, but like wasn't an official music video. It was a musical performance with like 360 camera or something for a fantasy fund. So, what do you think about this? Do you think this like is a huge game changer for music videos, let alone for like women in music?
I love Beyonce so much, so everything I say is kind of slanted in that way. But I just think it's cool because it, for the first time in a very long time, got people to care about bodies of work, which never happens anymore. Like not just the album and not just the visual, but everything together, and I think that's awesome. I don't think it's necessarily a female thing or like a total game changer, because I don't think everyone would do it, because I really think it is reserved for people that are on the top like that.
It's incredible though, because like with Taylor Swift, like these two together, you know, it's something that's very new. Like even people like Michael Jackson and Prince, who did like you know Thriller and then Purple Rain. Yeah. It wasn't even something that happened at the time. I just think it's so crazy to see this now. Plus, like, you know, when this came out, it happened the same time as like Pablo. And to me, like the rollout was so significantly different, but both so interesting. Kanye was throwing out all these things, like how he's like hugely bankrupt. You know, and then Beyonce, you know, he just makes like a weird fashion show in the middle of Madison Square Garden that's televised while the album's playing in the background somewhere, and you're kind of like hearing it, kind of not looking at random people in weird outfits. And then you got Beyonce, who's tight. She announced it like previewed it like a week before it came out. I mean, like, yeah, how does that like? How do you think about that in terms of just like comparing those two?
I don't know. I think Beyonce did it right, to be honest with you. People are probably gonna use that, sorry. But I don't know, just the windowing, I could get like really nerdy, but just the fact that it was titled by HBO and then titled by itself and then iTunes, it's just brilliant, and I think it got people to care about it kind of conveniently for them and as it came into their lives, rather than Kanye, who kind of like locked it away and welcomed like piracy. Beyonce, I think, avoided it in the best way possible, and her record's great. So.
Did it surprise you? Like, to me, it was crazy that she was able to pull this off again without with doing a whole album with no notice, and then somehow managed to do it even better. I think.
Yeah. I mean.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, there's not much you can say. It's just she's the best. She's like, come on.
We'll move on to the next. One of the other big things that happened recently that I don't think is getting enough attention. So, the DOJ, the Department of Justice, was supposed to be ruling on whether or not to update the copyright consent laws. These laws have been around since World War II, and people were hoping that at least these laws could be removed and give songwriters the same freedoms as other copyright owners. The worst, they could at least update it to a current digital marketplace, give songwriters and publishers more leverage when it came to, negotiating their market, creating more, make it easier for them to do it, especially globally. But instead, what they did was they said, nope, we're not going to update any of these. And also, the age-old split between publishing and songwriting credit is now officially gone. You have to split it 100%.
What?
Yeah, so now you have to actually, there's no publisher split anymore. They said it's got to be 100%.
That's scary.
Yeah, and it's absolutely nuts. And considering there's been no progress. Like, people have been railing against the copyright laws here forever. And I'm sure you sat here as an artist, you have your stuff on Spotify, you have your stuff on iTunes, you get your monthly check. I mean, like, how's that for you? I mean, like, what counts?
I mean, for me, at least at this point right now, money is kind of the last thing I'm thinking about because I'm so new. I'd rather, have as many ears hearing my stuff as possible. I mean, I'm in school. I intend to, be in school, do the band, whatever. None of it's really, with money in mind or whatever. But
obviously, yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, if someone's consuming something that you own, you should be getting paid for it.
And
it's I don't know. It's just like seems like people just forget that very simple thing. If someone takes something that is yours, you get compensated.
And it's the same thing for like smaller artists, who are sitting here, wanting to do something. It's so hard to like ask them to make that sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because that means, they might not be able to pay off what they owe to their label soon enough. They have to compensate by doing more touring, spending more time on the road, and that's really rough for some people.
Yeah.
Like, thankfully, you've been able to succeed a lot, and that's awesome. But like, to me, like, Canada just updated their royalty services within like the past couple months, and they've already seen that result pay off. They are getting $1.5 million more in extra revenue for both songwriters and labels. It's not just one or the other. So it's obvious that there's like something happening that's just not working.
Yeah.
I mean, looking down the line, do you personally see like streaming services finally moving on from free memberships and stuff like that? Because to me, I think that's got to be the first step.
I think it does, but now that like the whole post-Napster era thing. If free is an option, it's really hard to convince people not to choose free. And I think Tidal is one of the only services that's actually making strides in at least trying to solve the problem with exclusives and, perks, getting tickets earlier, things like that, making an all-inclusive service rather than just somewhere where you go and get your music. I think that's what's going to differentiate it, but then again, we don't know. But I think just having a million streaming services pop up with freemiums isn't going to work. It's just scary though, because if you start charging people, you don't know if they're going to stick around or if they're just going to go to whatever version of Napster or LimeWire is. What is it, like Pirates Bay?
I would say probably Pirate Bay these days, yeah.
But
it's so true though, because like as much as people give Tidal shit, at least they expressed, like, it was a bunch of people saying, this isn't working, this isn't good, like, we're not getting what we deserve.
Yeah.
To some extent, it's fair. Like, people like those guys, they put in so much money to those production of those records.
Yeah.
And like, now it's supposedly getting rumored to be being bought up by Apple. And it's meanwhile, I just feel like, this has to move in the direction where Spotify's been around long enough. People know the name, people know what they're gonna get, it's time that they finally just move on and say, what, sorry, but this is how it's gonna be, and like take that step, because otherwise I just feel like we're gonna keep waiting for this return to come back.
Yeah, definitely. It's scary.
And I like with this, especially with this new ruling, it's so baffling.
Yeah.
Hopefully it gets better. I think I want to keep tabs on this as it keeps coming along. But I think it was important to like talk about that especially. So moving on to much more fun things. So I want to move on. I wanted to talk to you about so it's been about 3 months since the record came out. How's it been? How's it been, like, you've hit the road, you've had time to like really talk to fans and see people respond to your music. Talk to us about all that.
It's just weird all the time. It doesn't get less weird because I don't do that. Like, I still don't consider myself a singer. I don't consider myself a guitarist. I still feel like a drummer. I've played drums my whole life. So it's very weird that this was kind of just like, I don't know. I was sitting in my room. I was just like, hey, I'm going to try this thing just for myself. It was very selfish. And I'll admit it. It was so selfish. And people kind of started latching onto it. And it's very weird because to me, it's just like this weird thing that I would do in my apartment on weekends with Wawa. But it's really overwhelming, and I'm obviously could not be happier that people are enjoying my selfish little thing.
Who were some of the first people like who you showed that to, and were they like the first ones to tell you, yo, this is something? Or like was there like an initial period where you're showing to people and you were looking for a critique?
Not even a critique. I don't know, because that scares me. People are scary, but more just like, hey, I did this, like, eh. But I worked at a studio last summer, and I still work there a couple days a week, or like 1 day a week now. And the guy who produced and engineered everything that burns worked there, and so they were all just kind of like circling it around the studio, listening to it, and I would show up to work, and they would be giving me a lot of positive feedback, and that meant a lot to me because they have, people coming through the studio all the time with tons of music, and I don't know, just for them to say like, hey, this is actually good, there's actually something here, was probably the first, little bit of reassurance in the first moment when I was like, hey, this could be a thing.
Then now that you've had the first tour under your belt, like as a solo artist, you were obviously in a band as a drummer for Edelweiss,
yep.
And you guys had some time and experience on the road as well. Was there a huge difference from you taking that step up from the stage, or do you feel like you've been able to make that transition pretty easily?
There's a little bit of a learning curve, just having to tune and have really simple things, just having to tune and talk at the same time, and engage and sell the merch in the back to the people, and it's just this whole like frontman dynamic that when you're hiding behind a huge set of drums, you don't have to worry about. But other than that, I feel pretty okay.
Were these shows remind me? You were playing a lot, kind of like. Were you opening for people? Were there standalone shows? What did you get to kind of do?
There was a lot of opening. DIY shows, some like diving bars, which are like my favorite thing in the whole world. But yeah, Grayling is still very much a new thing, and I'm thankful to be able to open for people who draw, because new people don't draw.
No, definitely. But have you enjoyed at least like kind of hitting the grassroots like that? Like you say, you love playing dive bars. Is it just like a particular energy, or what was it?
Yeah, I grew up playing in like weird cover band, like Van Halen cover bands and stuff, and we would play at dive bars, and so it feels like home.
Fair enough. And then what about like the house shows? That was something you guys, when you were with Edelweiss, you guys were kind of like beyond that point, to be fair, and then now you've been able to kind of like hit that milestone again. Do you feel like that was something you kind of needed to do personally as you grow?
Definitely. The thing I like about house shows is there are always people there, and there are always enthusiastic people there, and people who want to be there and aren't just there because they happen to be at a bar and there's a show going on, and you're always playing to someone, there's always someone who's offering to help you. It's just like a great community, and I think everybody should start that way. Just to hit the ground running and have a support system.
Yeah, because it's so rare where you find a situation where people are just ready to come and hear something new and just show up and sit with friends, but like be respectful and understand that these are people who are just starting, who are just getting their bearings together. That's huge for a band developing. I remember when I first got here, like when I saw that was so mind-blowing. Yeah. It felt safe. Yeah. It felt like a place where a band could really learn, That's when it's hard for a lot of people, for sure. Yeah. I can't even imagine at this point. We have 2 cameras, that freaks me the fuck out.
Oh, I know. It's so scary.
They're always judging, I feel like. But no, so like, what were some of the cool moments that happened to you since you were able to kind of take this and bring it to people since you were working at the studio, What were like some of the first songs you got to kind of play,
Like at shows?
Well, when you first started recording, I guess.
Like showing people? Because
last we talked, you had a couple songs, and then when it came time to record the record, you actually didn't use a lot of those songs.
Yeah, the thing that happened was I had 4 songs on the EP. Basically, the way I did the EP, my friend records out of a basement turned studio out in New Jersey, and so Friday nights I would take the SEPTA from Philly to Jersey and then drive to the studio and just record whatever I wrote that week, pretty much. So I wrote it really quick and really fast and kind of just like desperately just like getting it out. But then I wanted to play shows, and I was like, I only have 4 songs. So I kind of just wrote some, I'm not in love with them. They're fun. They fill the set, whatever. Those are there. But I don't know. When I first started demoing things out, I sent them to my friend Evan, who recorded and produced everything, and a couple of my friends from back home. But this again is so weird that I'm even doing this because I'm a drummer. That people were kind of confused, but like it's weird because I don't talk about it ever, and I was suddenly just like texting my friends demos of me singing, and they were like, "Oh, this is kind of weird," but yeah.
One of the album's name comes from the first song's one line, "Everything That Burns." What was it like when you were coming up with the name? Was it like what pulled you to that specifically?
I heard someone say it, and I thought it sounded cool, and then I put it in the lyrics so it would make more sense. And now it actually like holds meaning within the song, but it honestly was just like, oh, that sounded. That's such like a dumb answer, but that's the truth.
No, I mean I feel like people always expect a huge, complicated answer with all this stuff.
I wish there was. There's some people where I'm like, wow, you're so deep. It must be so nice.
But sometimes there's something to that. Sometimes you're just venting something, and like that's what music is always about. It's about like you don't have to be super complicated as long as you can capture a feeling or something. That's half of it. Then sometimes people actually realize I felt the same way some days.
Yeah.
You never know what that song is going to kind of like mean to someone else, like context. That's what's kind of so wild about it.
Yeah.
Which, like, kind of speaking of that, like, were there anyone in particular who kind of said something about your music that you were like, obviously this was all very kind of, it flowed for me very easily, but like, was there something that you did and that was like really cool what you did, or like, I really appreciate what you said with this song?
You mean like after?
Yeah.
Compliments and stuff?
Which, yeah, like stuff like that.
Yeah, okay, so when Bidding War came out, that was the first single, the first thing ever, like, I never sang really ever. I was so scared, like, it came out like, on the little side, and then I went for a walk and, like, went to an arcade because I was so freaked out. Like, it was just, like, stressing me out so much, and I felt super weird, and then I, like, went to bed, and I got up the next morning, I was walking to Wawa, and I saw, this kid I go to school with, he'll probably watch this and know I'm talking about him if you know who he is, but Dan, hi. And he just stopped me in the crosswalk. He was like, hey, your song is really, really cool. And I was like, oh my god, thank God. Like, that still sticks out to me because that was the first one where I was like, okay, someone who I know is kind of supporting this thing that I'm doing. And yeah, after all the blog posts and stuff, that to me still just sticks out. So that was the first little bit of reassurance, I guess.
And it's hard to, because blog posts are cool and, you can share them on your Facebook page, but like when it's something that's like completely unprompted and from someone that like you already respect, oh my god. Yeah. It's like you spend all this time making like a train set that you just like did it because you felt like it, and then someone comes like, yo dude, that's really tight. What?
Train set?
Yeah, didn't you ever make a train set on Christmas? What?
I mean, yeah.
Like, you didn't do it for anyone. It was just like, and if you did something, you just decided to do something, it's really cool.
We're like Legos.
Yo, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like Legos. Because that's where you get like really weird. For some reason, the square cube is like a spaceship.
The train like has to go a certain way.
Yeah, but a spaceship all of a sudden can be totally square, even though it makes no sense aerodynamically.
Yeah. And then it can be a house like 2 seconds later.
Totally.
Trains can't do that.
Trains can't do shit. So let's see, I wanted to move on. So we wanted to try and start off one of our own special segments that we kind of stole from other people. We're going to throw a couple things at you, and you're going to say whether or not they're over or underrated. You ready?
Do I explain, or does it like rapid
Explain
fire?
if you feel it needs explanation.
Okay. I'm probably going to explain. I have a lot of opinions.
So let's see, Jared Leto.
Underrated.
Why?
Because I feel like people don't know that he does both.
Both
And
what?
then,
Oh, music
like,
and acting?
So good at everything. Like, they probably only know the one, but then you have to know the both, and then it's like, oh my god.
What is it again? 30 Seconds to Mars, right?
Yeah, in every movie ever.
What about hummus?
Overrated.
Overrated?
I can't even look at it. Ugh. So gross. Ew,
Wait,
it's so gross.
What's wrong with chickpeas?
Nothing. I eat a lot of chickpeas actually, but not like that. Not
Just the
like,
minute it's pasty, it's game over.
Yeah. Yeah, ew.
Alright, Pokemon Go. It's been out for a week.
I love it. I think it's getting the attention it deserves. It's great.
How much?
I was sore.
How much have you caught already? We're gonna check.
Some of them might be doubles because we put a lure down at work. And I haven't had the chance to like, because we have a stop right in our building. It's really nice. This is gonna take a minute to load. I'm sorry.
We'll cut it up. What about water parks? That's like the least strong endorsement, no matter what the answer is. It's the worst endorsement for water parks.
Fine. Probably overrated because, oh my god, there's a star right there.
Oh shit.
I'm sorry.
We got B-roll now.
Yeah, water parks, they're okay. They're kind of gross. When I think of water parks, I think of Band-Aids like floating by.
Oh Jesus, you're right.
Yeah,
There's
but
always,
they also can kind of be cool.
There's always like kids crying for no reason.
Yeah, if I had a private water park,
Yeah.
underrated.
Game
but
changer.
I don't want to be near other people. Okay, I have now 60. I'm on level 11. Yeah, Team Mystic.
Yeah, you mentioned before Empath was a particularly interesting song to record in the studio.
Yeah.
What about it to you like kind of stood out in your memory?
It was more so the demoing for me. At first, there's like, at the beginning, there's these like layered harmony vocal, like very lured, like very out of my comfort zone. I was just kind of messing around, just trying something different. There's keyboards and stuff, which my music is very guitar driven, so it's kind of weird.
It's very riffy.
Yeah, thank you. Love a good riff.
Dude, riffs are good.
Yeah, I just kind of had that beginning part before it really like kicks in. And I sat on it, and then I had a different chorus, and it was weird, and it was kind of just a long, drawn-out, weird thing that ended up. I honestly feel like I'll never write something better than that as long as I live, and it kind of scares me. Which is probably like a cocky thing to say, I don't know, but it's comparing to myself.
There's always gonna be that one song.
I think it's my best work.
Yeah, I mean.
Is that fair? And Evan killed it. The guitars are so like blown out and awesome, and I love them.
It's such a huge like wall that hits you when you listen to that music, and it's so cool because it doesn't feel like things are fighting for space on that record. It really feels like there's kind of like, if you're looking at like a picture, there's like the space the guitars are, there's the space where the vocals are, and the drums. It flowed really well. Evan. All right, I think that's kind of all we had for you today. We're gonna roll downstairs and we're gonna check out some of your stuff. You're gonna play for us and kind of disrupt the whole business. All right, cool. Thank you again.
you from the hospital.